now.
So am I.
Tight.
That's so funny.
That's I believe the kids call that a coincidence.
Ah, funny to run into you here.
Wow, fancy meeting you here. Been a while. Do you come here often?
What are you doing here?
Oh no. I need to rewatch BoJack so bad. All right. You can do your countdown.
2. I wasn't going to.
I just assumed it was coming at this point.
69, 420, 12, 24, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome back to the Packy Run podcast. I am your host. Can't think of anything funny to say. I'm AJ.
And I am. We didn't wait 4 weeks to put out another episode. Instead, it's 3 weeks. Mayot.
We're getting there. We've been on a journey.
Yes. I got the good old beer virus.
Yeah, it happened. We've now
so
even
we are a podcast of both people getting COVID.
We've both gotten it. You got it after you got vaccinated though. I got it before the good old Moderna crew was a thing. So whatever that means, you should probably still go get vaccinated because we were just talking and apparently it wasn't like too terrible for you. And I'm gonna go ahead and assume that's because you were a vaxxed boy. You were vaxxed and relaxed.
Yes. I mean, you take vaccines for a reason. They're not going to help. They're not going to prevent you from getting sick. They're just going to scale it down so you don't feel it as much. It felt like a little cold.
It's
still in my system. Like if I go and get a test now, like I'm going to be testing positive, but
got disease.
I don't have to self-isolate anymore. I'm not contagious. So that's the nice part.
Here we go. Well, I myself am feeling pretty run down and crappy. That has more to do with the metric shit ton of work that I've been doing. And yeah, I feel like I've been running a marathon for like weeks. So all that to say, we're happy to be back. We finally carved out some time and did a thing.
Yes. And honestly, being sick sucks, but taking some time away from working so much, kind of nice in a messed up way.
I mean, that was one of the positives when I had it. I can't believe it's been almost a year. Yeah, one of the nice parts was just being able to like chill out and not have to worry about responsibilities and being an adult and stuff. I was just able to kind of sit back and watch ungodly amounts of TV.
Shout out Justine, my lovely girlfriend, taking care of me and doing way too many things last week for me that I just couldn't do because COVID.
Yeah,
so shout out to her.
I was a lonely boy. I was a lonely boy when I had it. I was all by my onesies, and it came close to destroying my Christmas plans, but luckily that did not happen. And now, yeah, it's been a year. I haven't even thought about it until we started this conversation, and that's ridiculous.
Yes.
Yes, I cannot believe it. So other than COVID troubles, what else has been going on in your life, Dan?
Well, I've just been busy working between 2 jobs. I mean, I got a new job, working in a box office. I'm not gonna say who it is. It's a pretty prestigious musical company in Boston / the world.
There you go.
Just think of that. And just busy with my online music marketing job that I've always had. Again, I'm not going to say who they are, but things are picking up. Things are great.
Yeah, the industry's back, and I think we're going to get into that a little bit after our drinks and Patriots news. Yeah, I'm still doing the same thing, and our busy season is upon us, and I definitely feel it. I am not in shape for it. I haven't done that. I haven't done this much lifting and back and forth and running in
You gotta do your lunges, boy.
I know I know that I'm getting old when I feel like I have to stretch before work now.
Dude, I've been starting to do some like yoga and meditation
It's happening.
because, I'm trying to combat being so stressed out. I've been so stressed out working in the past like 3 months, 4 different jobs. And like 2 just ended, 1 just started, another one just picked up. Like there's a lot of moving pieces in my life, and I'm trying to try to build better habits.
Yeah.
Like I did like some yoga today, and it felt really good.
Dang.
And I've been doing some like meditation.
I would have expected this out of you when you were living in Brooklyn, because that feels like a very Brooklyn move for you.
Yeah, I mean,
But here you are, an old man living in the city of Boston, doing yoga, working jobs. You're like a fully actualized adult now.
I don't know about that.
We've come so far from where we started, Dan.
I mean, that's true. I've also sold out with my jobs.
I was talking to my buddy Rohan about that today. It was like every time I get excited about something that's going on at work, or like I feel like I had a really good day at work, like I really do enjoy the people around me and stuff, but there is always that little voice in the back of my head that's just like, do you remember your punk rock dreams?
Yeah, I mean, there was I'm not going to name names here, but there's a particular like DIY venue in Boston. Not Boston, Cambridge. I'm not going to name their name, but I'm going to what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I did apply to there, and they did ask for an interview of me. And I was so busy at the time.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get myself to respond to it.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a bummer.
And you know what's funny? That job is still listed up.
Dang. You should go for it. Go for job number 3.
Dude, no. I can't do it at this point.
Yeah. Super long work weeks and stuff. It's killing me.
Yeah, I mean, trying to reap the awards eventually, right?
Right. Just put in the work and keep working, make money, and then eventually you'll die.
Or retire. But I
Or
mean,
both.
I don't think any sensible millennial, especially working in music, plans to retire.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting things about our chosen kind of career. It's you got to be a lifer or you're not going to make it.
I mean, I will say this, I love what I do.
Sure.
Like it's hectic, it's crazy, it's a little stressful, but I like what I do.
Yeah, I'm still very much in kind of a like it's a day job phase. But a very smart man told me that Nashville is like a 5-year town before you start like really having a network and being able to, build your career. I'm coming up on year number 4, I think. I also can't believe it's been that long. That's insane. But I'm already starting to feel it though. There's like the networking side of things has definitely picked up now that the city is kind of open again and there's music going on and things like that. So being able to coordinate and talk with people and trying to build those relationships and find myself some new projects to kind of get my foot back in the door with production kind of things, trying to pick up my guitars a little bit more and trying to get creatively inspired to do something. It's tough when you're working a day job, but we're getting there.
Yeah, I mean, every day's a new day.
True.
And I mean, we're not the same people we were when we first met.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
I'd like to think we're a little bit wiser.
I think we both definitely are, but we also both really like being self-deprecating. So I think we like to joke. I think we like to joke a lot of the times that we're garbage.
Yeah.
just throw us right in the trash.
Yeah. That is like one thing I do miss about living in New York / Brooklyn. Like when it was pre-pandemic times, I would probably go to a networking event in New York like once every 2 weeks, maybe once a month. Just meet people, have drinks, try to schmooze some people.
Yeah, I like the. I haven't done a lot of those networking events, but I have like the network that I do have at this point has been really cool because it's been so organic. It's just been like people that I've run into. Even though I swore after dealing with karaoke heroes in New Haven that I would never be a karaoke person, I hang out at a karaoke bar all the time. And so you start talking to people after you sing and because obviously everybody
Oh my
gets up.
God.
Everybody gets up and does like friggin' "Don't Stop Believing" or some god awful country song. So you always end up finding like the three people in the bar that are super passionate about music, and they're like, "I can't believe you did." I mean, you got to keep it kind of like general interest. So it'll be people coming up to me and being like, "I can't believe you did, AFI or Bowling for Soup or something."
Yeah, you can't get away with a like Menzinger's karaoke song.
Nah, nobody would know.
Or like or like Wonder Years, or like I mean, even I'm trying to think of like other ones. I mean, Fall Out Boy is a great one.
Fall Out Boy is a great one, but it's a sprint. Patrick Stump is an expert. Like those vocals are tough. I don't want to make too much of a fool of myself. Weirdly, the big one that goes over like super well every single time I've ever done it, which is not that often. Shipping Up to Boston by the Dropkick Murphys.
Yeah, that's I mean, that's very on brand for you.
And it's also very weird in a southern town. But I like zigging when they're expecting me to zag.
I mean, and it's also like it's easy enough to sing along to.
Yeah.
Like you can get a bar behind you to sing it with you.
Yeah.
You can't sing Dirty Water as a karaoke song. That's just not gonna go over well.
There's not that many people that are gonna be hyped on the Standells.
I mean, but you can get people hyped on Sweet Caroline anywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't know if I would do that as a karaoke song.
It gets done a lot. I hear it probably once a week. And yeah, oh God, Man, I Feel Like a Woman by Shania Twain is effectively ruined for me. Don't Stop Believing. I tweeted about it a while ago. I was like,
one's just cheesy. That song is cheesy.
I wonder what it's like to not hear Don't Stop Believing once a day, sometimes multiple times a day, every day of your life.
I mean, Journey is not that good.
Yeah, they got hits though. You can't argue that they have hits, and they've got a couple of songs that are that I'm all right with. On the whole, not my favorite band though. But anyway, should we hop into some what we're drinking? Mine is not impressive.
Yes, mine is not that impressive either. So after being sick for a while, and like, remember the last time we recorded this podcast?
Yes.
I still had beer from my birthday party. I still have beer from my birthday party.
Tight.
Just because, you shouldn't be drinking while you're sick.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, there's nothing that can benefit you from drinking a beer while being sick.
That's sound medical advice, I'd say.
So I am drinking a long trail ale. It was just somebody left it in my fridge.
Doesn't
and
Harpoon
I have like
make
12.
that?
I have no idea.
I feel like it's made by
It's
Harpoon,
okay.
But yeah, I've had it before. It's just like an IPA.
It's a very light IPA.
There you go. I'm drinking a White Claw hard seltzer, a ruby grapefruit one, because
Is it the same one from the last time we recorded?
it is not the same one from 3 weeks ago, but I am currently deeply involved with a very beautiful woman who enjoys seltzers, and I like to oblige her, I suppose. So I drink them with her, and I mean, they're not bad. They don't. It's White Claw. You know what it is.
I mean, they're good.
We gotta get for posterity's sake.
Yes.
So
all right, we got 3 games to talk about here.
Oh dog. Oh doggy doggy dog.
And so the Texans game, that was terrible.
Yes.
You can split it however you want, but we did not deserve to win that game.
No, we didn't. The Texans won that game for us.
Yeah, and the offense was just spinning the tires
the entire time. That game against the Texans, I think, told us a lot about like tempering expectations for this team. I think you're going to hear us and pretty much every single report about this year's Patriots is going to say the same thing, but it is worth saying, like, Mac Jones consistently looks great. His mechanics are good. He's running this offense, pretty efficiently. We are suffering terribly from offensive play calling and just undisciplined football. And that's how you get, like, the Texans are a trash team this year. And the fact that
Yeah.
we only beat them by a field goal is not promising.
Like I didn't feel good after that game. That game left a lot of questions, like not about Mac Jones, but the play calling itself. Like, is Josh McDaniels holding Mac back? Is it, I understand putting the training wheels on for like a little bit, but that game particularly was
Painful.
and even the next game, like the game afterwards, we had no business being in the game against the Cowboys. Cowboys were just making mistakes left and right. They were trying to give us the game and we couldn't capitalize.
Exactly. The justification that I saw on the internet for the play calling that we've been seeing is obviously there's a bunch of injuries, and especially our offensive line is just, it's not even held together with duct tape. It's like Scotch tape. Like,
Yeah.
they are barely keeping it together, and Mac is taking just so many hits every game. So people are trying to justify the really conservative play calling with, well, we have to be doing this to keep him somewhat protected, because if Mac goes down, our backup is Brian Hoyer, and we've seen time and time again how well that goes for us.
Yeah, that doesn't go well at all.
So that justification makes sense. It doesn't really, sorry to my cousin Bobby, who I'm sure is going to listen to this and have something to say on Twitter or in my Instagram DMs or something. It's not going to get me off of Josh McDaniels' back. It's just so much of the play calling has been so just stupidly simple, which makes no sense when we've seen that when, you let him off the leash a little, Mac can play with the big boys. Like,
Yeah.
this kid is smart. He's got, like, we saw recently and I believe we actually saw in the Texans game, his deep ball is great. His thinking is great. His, like, we've got a contender for quarterback here. Like, the kid is awesome. But if we're not,
go ahead.
No, if we're not making use of that, and indeed when we don't make use of that, we don't win games. And eight weeks into the season, you either recognize that and capitalize on that, or the Patriots are going to be just irrelevant for the second year in a row.
Yeah. Cowboys didn't deserve. They were trying to give us that game. I don't think they wanted to win that game. And there were some points in that game that we were trying to give it away as well.
Yeah, again, we just kind of, the Cowboys game was an interesting that was an interesting one to watch, because it was very similar to the game against the Buccaneers, where it was, the Cowboys have been talked about as legitimate Super Bowl contenders this year, and Dak Prescott has looked great for a guy that's, coming off of serious injuries, and seven at that point, I think that was week 7 weeks into 7 weeks into an NFL.
6.
That's 6.
Yeah.
6 weeks. 6 weeks into an NFL season. That's kind of right around when shit begins to hit the fan for a lot of these teams. Like, can you hang or not? And the Patriots were hanging with the Cowboys, but again, just so many undisciplined mistakes all over it, where that seems to be the theme of this year so far, is that, like, we've got a lot of talent, especially with the quarterback, but also with some of our defensive players, some of our receivers. Hunter Henry has given me hope in tight ends again. But
right,
when we're getting stupid flags that are costing us these things, when we're playing conservatively, when we should really be trying to, run the ball down these teams' throats,
it's hard when we've had 6 fumbles so far this year.
Yeah.
Like, Damian Harris has lost a couple, Ramondre Steven, he's fumbled it a couple times. Like, we've just losing some of the points of this. Like, we're okay, but we need to get rid of those mistakes. Mac Jones, right now he's 9 for 6. He's taken 14 sacks, completing 70% of his passes. He's playing like a rookie. I'm okay with those numbers.
Yeah, he's playing like a really good rookie. You look at anybody else from that draft class, and pretty much any, rookie season for the past however many years, and he's not the greatest quarterback of all time. He's not a Tom Brady. He's not he doesn't have like the wow factor of like a Patrick Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson, but he's he's scary efficient, and he's not even in his prime yet. So I had I had the thought the other day. Somebody should get Alex Guerrero on the phone and just get this kid started with the TB12 method like right now.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
we can manufacture a second coming.
All right. We talked about 2 bad games. Like, the Texans game we won, but let's be honest, like, I kind of count that as a loss. The Texans just, they're the Texans. They're not good.
Yep.
Cowboys, they arguably, if Mike McCarthy wasn't such a bad coach, they should have wiped the floor with us. And I truly believe that.
Yeah, that game.
It should not have been that. It shouldn't have been that close.
That game should not have gone to overtime.
Right. Now, and I want to bring this up. I am surprised by the amount of trick plays we have seen the last couple of weeks in the play calling.
And that's definitely something that we should get into with this next game as well, because I had the same thought. We're seeing plays being pulled out right now that we normally wouldn't see until a playoff run.
Right.
Like, it makes me...
It's interesting.
I'm torn between whether or not I think it's desperation, like just trying to throw everything at the wall we can right now to get ourselves into the win column, or if it's an indication that maybe we have some additional tricks up our sleeve and we have enough of them that we're okay with showing off some of that now. I don't really know. I think it's probably the former.
I mean, I think we have more playmakers on the team. I think Mac Jones, love Tom Brady, love what he brought to the table with the team, and no one better take this out of context. Tom Brady limited us with his athleticism. Mac Jones kind of brings like a different element with that.
He does have he's a little bit better with his legs.
He's younger. You would expect that from him.
Yeah, and he's got I think he might even be a little bit better than a rookie Brady, kind of overall, like everything that he actually brings to the table. And it's early to say that. With certainty, but I do like what I'm seeing, and I'm super excited to see more and more and to see how the kid develops, because he could be scary good in a couple of years if we keep a decent team around him and he stays healthy.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about this Jets game.
I love the pure and utter spite and hatred that Bill Belichick has for the butt fumble of organizations.
Oh, yeah.
He hates the Jets and makes, it is his goal in life to make sure that he embarrasses them every single chance he gets.
I was complaining about the last time they faced the Jets because there was no way we should have only scored 25 points. That game should have looked like this.
The last time we played the Jets, limiting them to 6 points was a little bit embarrassing. Like, clearly it's Patriots versus Jets. There is no scenario ever where Bill Belichick lets his team lose to the Jets. But I agree. Every time we play the Jets, it is our goal to embarrass them and embarrass them in a big way, and we didn't do that last time. This time, 54-13.
Yep.
And we were leading them by 30 plus points, like in the third quarter, and we just didn't let up off the gas.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. Like, especially like taking out Mac at the end of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, just
letting Brian Hoyer get a touchdown.
Let Brian Hoyer come in and throw touchdown passes, because fuck you, New York Jets.
And the offense finally, this is the first time in a long time I can say the offense looked really good.
Yeah, and it is one of those things, and we say it every year that we play them, because we always play them relatively early in the season and then again later. But it is a caveat that does kind of have to get said every time. It's easy to get hyped on the Patriots when they open up a can of whoop ass on the Jets, and we always look good against this team. And of all the teams that we could be, this aggressive and this this willing to just slam another opponent, they are the Jets. Like, they're not a good organization.
Yeah.
They haven't been a good organization for a while. So it is kind of easy to beat up on a bad football team. So I think that there were a lot of hot takes going on Patriots Twitter, and I've weirdly become a Reddit user.
Same.
So Patriots Reddit was also, really, really hyped up after this win against the Jets. And I think that there's a lot of great things to see. We looked buttoned up. We looked efficient, and
I just don't like the penalties and the penalty yards. I mean,
yeah.
6 penalties, 95 yards. Like, we can't be having that.
We keep getting in our own way with those.
Like, that's not good, but it also didn't. I'm willing to look past it this week, but in the future, we got to be better about that.
Exactly.
Also, can we get Jacoby Myers a touchdown pass finally? Or like a touchdown?
How insane is it that he has thrown touchdown passes? He has been, especially these past 2 years, he's been a fairly productive receiver. And
Right.
And was it the Cowboys game where he had a touchdown? He had a touchdown called back because of a penalty. Yeah, the dude cannot. They just don't want him in the end zone.
I mean, there was also like another talk, I think, on Sunday with the Jets, like, will this be his first touchdown? Nope. Like, I think Mac threw it to him and he just missed him.
Yeah. It was a refreshing turn. Happy to see them back in the win column. It does give me a limited amount of excitement to see that team, function as a team pretty well. If I were to grade their performance overall, B plus A minus.
Yeah.
Those penalties.
Like, that's about, I would give it that. The penalties knock it off, but I mean, overall, great win.
Yeah. It gives me hope. I'm tempering my expectations for what the rest of this season looks like, but it shows that we've got a lot of capable guys here, and maybe we're missing a couple of pieces. I was thinking about it this week. I'm mad at Josh McDaniels. I'm mad at his play calling overall. But if we get rid of him, does that kind of throw the offense into even more kind of chaos and end up kind of derailing what progress we make this season?
That's fair. I mean,
like that does seem like a pretty big gamble, considering that, like we're recording this on Monday. So we saw yesterday that we can, like, this team can cook. They're not cooking in 5-star restaurants right now, but they're doing better than the old Applebee's.
That's fair. I mean, how many chances are we going to give Josh McDaniels, though? And would someone like, for example, Troy Brown, not saying that he would be a viable candidate for offensive coordinator, but would someone like Troy Brown, who's like the wide receivers coach, be a good option?
Yeah, it's one of those things that I don't have a good answer, but you do have to wonder, like, is it better to try and patch this all up from the inside because we've seen how successful we can be, or do we try and bring in the outside help, whether that be coordinators or players or whoever? The one thing that I don't get is the people that are sitting there and trying to talk about replacing Belichick already. That just seems like no, just no.
I mean, he's going to be replaced eventually, but I don't think he is so incompetent at his job, he has to get out. There have been times where I have, and maybe I'm just hypercritical of Josh McDaniels. Maybe I am. You can tell me if I am. But to put it into perspective, Josh McDaniels' offense without Brady, so when he was head coach of the Broncos in 2009, he was 20th. In 2010 with the Broncos, he was 19th. When he was the Rams offensive coordinator, he was 32nd. Last year, he was 27th. This year, 26th. Is he starting to look more like Andrew Gase, who was the Jets head coach last year and the year before, who coasted off of Peyton Manning's reputation and got jobs that way? I don't know.
My gut feeling tells me that, yeah, it's a little bit of that. I think especially seeing Brady down in Tampa Bay just functioning the way that they have. Like, on paper last year, they had no business getting anywhere within 30 miles of a Super Bowl. And then you basically hear stories about Tom really kind of, putting his foot down and essentially taking over as an offensive coordinator. I think that
Brian
exposes...
Brian Leftwich is there with the Bucs.
Yeah.
But how much is he contributing? And also, like, Tom Brady is still playing at the highest level we have ever seen from any athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, whether you like Tom Brady and is like you think he's a cheater or whatever, or you're mad that he left the Patriots, or like mad at the Bucs, or Patriots hater, you have to appreciate this type of greatness, and you'll never see it again.
Yeah.
You're never gonna see another Tom Brady.
There is zero chance.
Like, zero chance. He is in that icon of like Babe Ruth, Michael Jordan. I'm trying to think of like Wayne Gretzky, like athletes you will never see someone like again.
The man's basically a superhero.
Yeah.
But yeah. Last thing that I have about the Patriots in general, but specifically about this Jets game yesterday. There is one reason and one reason only that I look forward to Bill Belichick retiring, and it is that I think when he retires, the chances of an actual tell-all book or maybe even a biography, not like that Wickersham book that came out recently or any of the other ones that have been written about the Patriots dynasty. I want one specifically about Bill Belichick, and I want to learn what it is that drives him to hate the Jets so much. My money is on some sort of weird backdoor, like
I actually might have a couple answers to your question.
I think it was some sort of tomfoolery about the way that they went about making him the head coach of the Jets, which lasted for less than 24 hours. I think there was something that went on there. And I know that he wanted to be head coach and general manager, and when Parcells stepped down, they were not prepared to do that. They were basically, I think they were going to make Parcells general manager and Belichick would be head coach.
So one of the deals, what happened was, Bill Parcells coached the Patriots. Famously, he wasn't fired. Both Robert Kraft and Bill Parcells kind of parted on mutual terms. Because one of Parcells' famous quotes from that era, he said, "If you're going to cook the dinner, you should at least buy some of the groceries." Talking about building the team. And Bill Parcells wanted control of that, so he bounced the Jets. And then he took this. Bill Belichick went with Bill Parcells. Bill coached the Jets a couple seasons. Was like, you know what? I'm gonna retire. Bill Belichick, here you go. Here's the job. And then what happened was they hired Bill Belichick, and they were like, actually, just kidding. We're gonna have Bill Parcells be the coach, and then you're just gonna be the assistant coach, and then eventually, when he decides to retire, it's your job. Bill Parcells was like, I don't really want to do that. And what's funny is Bill Belichick has been the head coach of the Jets 3 different times, but never coached a game for them.
And I know at some point there was a discrepancy. He was supposed to come up and at some point he was going to be the way that he is with the Patriots now. He was going to be general manager and head coach. And for some reason he got promoted to head coach, but was not granted the powers of the general manager, which is when they basically offered him the job, and he wrote down on a napkin that I resign as HC of the NYJ, and then just bailed.
I mean, in retrospect and knowing Belichick's past, especially with how sour the Cleveland Browns job went, do you blame him?
No, not at all.
He wanted sense of control. He coached a good Cleveland Browns team, got them into the playoffs. They were supposed to be that team. They were supposed to be Super Bowl contenders. Art Modell decided to fuck over the city of Cleveland, which, do you blame him?
Yeah, it's...
Moved them to Baltimore. Bill Belichick didn't go with the move because he was just fired, and the Cleveland Browns were like, all the players and coaches were like, fuck this. Like, why should we care when you're going to move the team anyways?
Yep. But I would love, the point being, I would love to hear in Belichick's own words. Like, I mean, that is, I'm looking at the scores for all of the games from the preseason up until now. 54-13. That's like, we took their lunch money, slapped them in the face after they handed it over voluntarily, and then spit on their shoes before we walked away. Like, we do that against that team all the time. And as much as I love it, every time I have to sit back and be like, even all these years later, he clearly just has nothing but it. Like
and it got. Let's not forget with the whole rivalry between him and Eric Mangini, the guy who ratted on Bill Belichick with Spygate.
Even though he was definitely doing it too.
He was definitely doing it too, but. And then because, I mean, we're not going to get into that. And then you also had the blubbering idiot Rex Ryan and all the shit talking he had.
He was on one of the football talk shows this morning as I was walking into work. I saw it on one of the TVs in the like food hall place that I have to go through. And oh my God,
he has some of the worst takes. He has some terrible takes. Worse than ours.
How did that man have a job? How has that man had any job?
It's called nepotism.
There's that.
His dad was Buddy Ryan, who he's the famous defensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears, the 85 Bears.
It's yeah, I would love to hear Belichick just sit down and break down that entire situation and find out just why every Sunday morning when Bill Belichick wakes up and he knows that he's playing the New York Jets, he chooses violence every time.
Yeah, all right. I have nothing else to add. The Chargers game, that's going to be a tough game against Justin Herbert. I know that they're probably going to want revenge, especially since we smacked them last year, 45-0.
Yeah.
I expect that one to be a much closer game. I mean, Justin Herbert he's a good quarterback.
Yes, he is. And the Chargers look legitimate. But I think we have seen this team. They've gone against legitimate teams. Again, pointing to the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. You know, neither of those games.
We'll hang around.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any blowouts coming up on this schedule. It's just tough games that are if we're losing the turnover battle and the penalty battle, we're not winning. So we gotta fix it, and we gotta let Mac do his thing. He's out there for a reason.
Yeah.
But now that we've sufficiently beat the dead horse, which is the Patriots 2021 season so far, let's cleanse the palate here a little.
Yes.
Talk about some music stuff, because I am feeling, at least for me, Dan and I both went to college. We both entered college for degrees in music-related fields.
Yes.
I finished my degree at UNH with a degree in music and sound recording, so production kind of stuff. And I've definitely approached that chosen career path with more of an artistic kind of bent to it. Especially because my main love is mixing music. I love playing guitar, bass, singing, stuff like that. I like doing all that kind of stuff, but I do really like sitting behind a computer screen for hours on end, tuning things and putting the puzzle pieces together and, you know, taking raw materials and making something that sounds cohesive out of it. So that's kind of where I'm at. Your journey was a little bit different.
Yeah. So what's funny is before I even went to college, I did an internship in high school, and it was with a recording studio / music publishing company. My mentor, Zach, great guy, doesn't really do music publishing or the recording studio anymore, unfortunately. He's focused on other endeavors, but I remember telling him, oh yeah, I'm going for music industry. And he said, that's not a good idea. You should go for business. And you know, I think being the 18, 19-year-old that I was, when you're that age, there's no way of convincing you that you're wrong. You think you're right about everything. Every life decision, you're like, this is the right one. And I'm sure you can equate to that as well.
Correct.
Like, you think you're the smartest person in the world. You can't do anything wrong. Get to college, and I remember first up, Zach was right. Like, I will say, if there are any high schoolers listening to this, which I'm not sure if there are, or young people, I would say if you're looking at music industry as a career, don't go for music industry as a degree. Look more towards a business background. Because when I got to college, I got smacked in the face with music theory, which growing up playing in punk and hardcore bands, you don't know music theory. I mean, I know some that do. I mean, I have one friend who's very talented. He actually does like sound recording down in Nashville. Used to play in a couple bands with him. Like, he's that type of dude, but not my thing. I changed my major to business management. Didn't really know what to do with it. At first, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this music industry thing. Just like doing other things, having other interests, meeting new people, and then eventually got back into it because of being part of Music Industry Club and just helping with like some of the booking, helping with just running the shows. I love the live atmosphere of it all. And it's kind of reflected in some of the job choices that I've had. I mean, like if we're talking about live performance, not like sound tech, I have done coat check, I have done ushering / ticket taking, I've done box office jobs, I've done a lot of venue type of work.
For sure.
And I mean, as well as one of the things that got me going was the current company I work with. I do like a lot of music marketing, a lot of playlist promotion. And I know that that's a dirty word that a lot of people hear and they turn off because a lot of people hear that and they think it's a scam. And maybe I can get into that in a little bit.
I think we are going to get into that because there are a couple of kind of current things that I want to get some takes on.
Oh, I got lots of takes. I've also done some interning with PR companies and just general PR work. Yeah, I like the space of helping bands digitally get their name out there in recognition. That's ultimately what I love to do. Any way to help a band build their career, and artist development is like a huge part of that I do.
Yeah. So the reason why I suggested this as a topic, I was recently going through Overcast, which is the podcast player that I use. And I was looking through a lot of the stuff because I've been using Overcast since I was in high school. So it's got a pretty definitive list of all the different podcasts. Even if I've just listened to one episode, it ends up in my library basically.
Right.
So I was scrolling through looking for something to listen to. And I came across a podcast that I know we both listened to that was called Off the Record. It was hosted by Zach Cirillo, who started propertyofzach.com, which was Property of Zach was basically it was literally a Tumblr blog. I think towards the end there he might have switched providers, but it was a Tumblr where he would basically post music and tech news, very similar to Absolute Punk, now Chorus.fm, but it was a little bit more personalized, I'd guess. It was very much tuned to Zach's tastes, and he had other writers and other people on there. But yeah, like that, Zach is the guy that broke the fact back in 2013. Property of Zach was the first one to post about the fact that Fall Out Boy were getting together, and they kind of spoiled the reunion. And I say spoiled as a technical term because I know that at the time it became a little bit of a controversy, like in the quote unquote scene. But I mean, as a consumer of content from that site, I was just stoked to hear about it and felt special that I was following the blog that broke it. The other host was Jesse Cannon, who's a super well-known producer, worked with a lot of, he touched so many of the records that you and I basically grew up on.
He's touched some of the records that we've talked about on this show.
Yeah. And he's a fantastic mastering engineer. Still to this day, I follow him on Twitter and on social media, and he's still a nerd, and I love it. But anyway, I was listening to Off the Record, and that podcast was coming out kind of right at the beginning of streaming services really kind of hitting the masses. So there were a lot of talks about, playlist placement, kind of the stuff that you do. There's like a 5 or 6 episode streak where they were recording when Apple Music was announced and then when it was launched, and they were kind of giving their hot takes on all that. And
I know Jesse Cannon, he has been very critical about playlist promotion and playlist placements. And to his credit, what he's talking about is correct. What he is talking about is kind of like the old term payola.
Yes.
If anyone doesn't know what that is, payola was a term back in like the 50s and 60s where record labels would essentially pay a radio station to play their record, and it would be like hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's a very simplified explanation.
Yeah, it was many times it was like super indirect. Like it would be, lavish dinners and parties, and they would find ways to woo.
Yeah, there is a bit of that in the playlisting space where, and I don't do it. Like if I have an artist that I'm working with and let's say I pitch them to some website, like I find their website, I get all their information, I get their contact information, send them an email, hey, I really love your playlist, this would be a really good ad for it, send. Sometimes I get back, oh, hey, we really like it, but we need $30 for this placement in it. I don't even bother responding to it because it's not worth my time.
Yeah.
And Jesse Cannon has been very critical because there are a lot of scamsters and people that do that and try to take advantage of artists.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the nature of this being a business. It's you're dealing with artists, and you're dealing with creative people who are not necessarily thinking about things in a business way. So you end up with people that their entire life revolves around the American dollar, trying to find a way to use that against people. So playlists is kind of naturally where we are right now. So part of the reason why I was interested to get your takes about this is Apple Music just announced, and I'm looking for it now. Yeah. So Apple Music just announced this new kind of version of their service. It's $5 a month, and it's literally just a playlist subscription. Okay. So since the inception of Spotify and Tidal and Apple Music, the idea has been you pay a monthly rate and you get access to that company's entire library of music. So basically, we'll just keep using Apple Music because it's what we're talking about. Apple Music launched, and it was, instead of going to the iTunes store and paying 99 cents or $1.29 for each individual song that you're going to get, you now pay $10 a month and you can have the entire iTunes library at your disposal. What they're doing now is they're charging $5 a month, and what you get to do is, if you have a HomePod or you're on your iPhone or whatever, you can basically go, I don't want to say the voice assistant's name because I know that triggers that triggers it in your phone and stuff, but you basically get to say, hey, blank, play me a beach music playlist.
Right.
And she turns around and starts playing a curated playlist for you.
Now, are the playlists developed by playlist curators at Apple, or can I, for example, create a beach playlist, and is it triggered by what playlist you follow?
So I believe it is curated by Apple themselves. Like, I'm looking at screenshots from this in various Apple Music apps right now, and it seems to be just Apple curated playlists. But MacStories.net has a breakdown of all of these different playlists that they've already discovered, and there's no comprehensive list on Apple.com or whatever else, but it's basically like, I'm feeling angry, and it starts to play you the angry playlist, and there's literally album art for feeling angry, feeling mad, mellow days, help me sleep, stress relief, there's a playlist called Yay with
Whatever that means.
gratitude, feeling myself, in my feelings, inspiration, deep focus. They announced this and I thought my first thought was, this feels dumb. But
I mean, yeah.
you work on these playlist placement things and things like that, and I have to imagine that, I mean, you're working for a viable business. They're making money, they're paying you.
Right.
I didn't think that this was the way that, I didn't think enough people listened to music this way that it would justify doing something like this, which is why they announced it. And I was like, are there people that would pay $5 to be able to do that? But are there enough people that are actually just exclusively listening to like curated playlists that this is a worthwhile option? I
mean, I think in the world of music discovery today, I find a lot of my music through playlists. And it's not even just from working. It's just, it's so easy when Spotify already has a curated playlist and I don't have to think twice about it. And then I'm like, oh, sick. This is a cool band. Like, let me save this. Like one of my favorite Spotify playlists that they create for you is Release Radar, where like every Friday, all the bands that you follow who put out new music that day, they're slapped on a playlist and you can just listen to it. You don't have to go through different tabs and like search through them out. You can just be like, oh, cool. So-and-so put out a new song. Let me check it out. And it's like, oh, and also this one, why don't I just listen to it all the way through and see how it goes? Maybe there's like a song I haven't heard in a while, or like a band I haven't heard in a while. And I mean, I work a lot with Spotify curated playlists, not so much Apple. I think Apple is a little bit behind when it comes to the playlisting.
Yeah, I think so much of Apple Music's thing has been dependent on one, just the user base that they already have installed. Why am I going to go and sign up for another different service like Spotify or Tidal or whatever when I don't have to enter any information? I don't have to do anything when I open the music app in my phone besides select, yeah, I want to use Apple Music initially. They'll use the same billing thing that you use for like iCloud storage or whatever else, and boom, you're in it. So I think part of it is the ease of the install base, and I think the other part of it is it's been very like individual user centric. So someone like me who has, I think, close to 200,000 songs in their iTunes library.
Yeah.
Being able to have that library at my fingertips right off the bat, and then using the streaming to supplement that for songs that I don't already have or new releases or whatever, now that I'm a full-time, streaming music consumer.
Right.
I think that's been the biggest thing, and it was the thing that brought me to Apple Music in the first place versus Spotify, because I did use Spotify for a while, but integrating like an existing library, especially for things that aren't necessarily on streaming, was the big thing for me with that particular platform.
I mean, I still use Apple Music. I don't have the streaming service for it, but I still have songs in my library. Like I still download music from like Bandcamp, for example, because some things are just not available on Spotify. It's not perfect. One thing and maybe I haven't checked it out in a while, but the last time I used Apple Music, you couldn't, if you were to check out a playlist, could only check out the first 10 seconds of a song or whatever. Then it would like put up a paywall.
Yeah.
And that's probably what turns me off, because even if you don't want to pay for Spotify, for example, which you can get the free version and you can still listen to the desktop version, it's a little annoying with the ads, but I prefer that over 10 seconds of a song and then paywall.
Yeah, I think that's a valid stance to have. What I think is super interesting is the way that this is like absolutely taken over. Like when we were growing up, and especially when you and I were in college, that was the beginning of streaming, really.
Yeah, I mean,
we're probably at the very least, we're 8 years into all these streaming services really kind of taking over. And I think the question that I'm trying to ask is like, if we think back to when this started, what were your thoughts back then when Spotify first became the thing? thing. What were you?
So I remember knowing about Spotify in high school. I remember my music teacher at the time, he showed us Spotify, and I was like, whoa, this is interesting. Like, you can look up any band, anything that you want. I mean, I thought it was cool, but I also didn't buy into it. I remember even when I was like a senior in high school, even freshman year of college, I was listening to music primarily from iTunes. Like, I would have 5,000 songs on my iPod or like my iPhone.
Yeah.
I would be constantly trying to get rid of things because I just had that many songs on my phone.
Yeah, you were limited by the space of what you were holding in your hand.
And I remember at one point it was just like, this is so annoying. Like, I remember I still have them. Like, I have them all on like a disk drive. Like, right now my whole drive on my computer is like pretty much wiped of anything because primarily it was like 20,000 songs.
Yeah.
I mean, the new Macs have now like a terabyte of memory. This is not the case.
Yeah.
Back in like 2013, it was like, oh God, I don't know how much memory I have on this laptop, but that's not important right now. You just get sick of it. Like, I mean, why? And also, like, the way I started using playlists to begin with was when I had to make a lot of long drives to Connecticut. Instead of, I still am like that type of person. I don't like being on my phone while I'm driving. I like to focus on what I'm doing, focus on like the road and driving.
You like being a good person.
Yes.
you like being a cognizant driver.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes. Doing the bare minimum here. I would put on like, I would create like a playlist like Dan Going Home, and it's just 5 albums to keep me occupied. And it would be like, oh, I want to listen to like this record I've been really listening to. I want to listen to like some of that. Like, this is 3 hours long. Okay, good enough. Okay, this could hold me over. And then I would just go about my drive.
Yeah. I was in a similar space. I think both of us, we were big fans of Sophie's Floorboard.
Yes, that's basically where I got most of my music. They still put music up there.
I think we've alluded to it on the podcast before. I think so. Obviously, streaming music has it's created a job for you. You know, you actively work in playlisting, and I think that's one of the interesting turns, especially listening to, you know, the takes at the time when all of this was kind of coming together and the software was being released and people started to migrate towards paying once a month to access all of these kind of things. I think one of the things that's missing now is there's online radio services, there's the playlisting, there's things like that. And that is one way to discover music. But, you know, I only started collecting vinyl in the back half of high school and through college. And even now I love vinyl records. But I grew up doing what I would do in a record store online, desperately searching for, I think a great example is, do you know Finch, the band Finch?
Yes.
They have a song called
They sound familiar.
Yeah. They have a song called What It Is to Burn. And every time I've ever seen that song on iTunes, on a playlist, you know, going to download it, it's always been called What It Is to Burn, and then in parentheses, album version. I have spent days of my life trying to find the other version of that song. If that's the album version, that implies that there's another version, and I can't find it. But I used to spend time looking for that, and doing things like that leads you down rabbit holes that helps you discover other artists and other bands. And that, I think that's missing a lot from the streaming age, where so much of this stuff is, I think a lot of this stuff is kind of algorithm based, and there's even less people than before that are actively looking for new music and instead waiting for it to come across their For You page or whatever.
That's fair. I say this all the time. Spotify is not a music company. They're a technology company.
True.
They're an information company. They don't care about music. I mean, they do to some extent to like try to get it out, but they're an information company. They know exactly what you like and will recommend what they think you're supposed to like. But I will say, like, one of the things I find, if I was 13 years old and I was first discovering alternative music, and like, let's say I find Title Fight, great example. They have, and Spotify has this on their like artists like them, like that you might look at and you might enjoy. And then you get into the Tiger's Jaw and like Touche Amore and maybe the Wonder Years or like any of those other bands. Doesn't really serve a purpose for me at this point in my life because I already know all those bands. Like those bands have been with me for forever.
Yeah.
It helps out the kid that doesn't know and just wants to get right into the music. But for me, there is some missing element with Spotify.
And I think it's a missing element, and it's again tying it into some of the hot takes that Zach and Jesse talked about in those earlier days.
What were some of them?
They spent a lot of time talking about when Apple Music launched, there was a Connect feature, which was basically music Twitter for a streaming service. So anytime there were announcements that bands were making and things like that, they could broadcast that on their Connect page. So anybody that you were following, like people, artists that were in your library, you would get a feed of what they were doing, whether that was tour announcements or album announcements, singles, things like that, which is not as prevalent a feature on Spotify or Apple Music, Tidal, any of those.
I mean, at least with Spotify, you do get this band is coming to your town, like, and you can click and like buy tickets to their show.
Yeah, the bands in town thing is, I think that's a genius move. And we'll get into, I think it'll probably be the last topic of the night, but we'll get into another thing that I noticed today as I was scrolling through chorus.fm for the first time in like a month. Sorry, Jason and other friends that I've made on that website. I've been super quiet and feel like I should probably get more involved with those forums again.
Yeah.
I love the bands in town thing. I love the platform that streaming gives a lot of people. But it is one of those things. Jesse talks a lot through that entire podcast about this term, the democratization of music, and it's part of the reason why I think streaming took off in the first place. Was streaming made music accessible for, on the consumer side, everybody, and to a lesser extent through like distributors and things like that. Any band could find themselves on the same service as Lorde, Taylor Swift, Imagine Dragons, like,
oh my god,
these massive kind of artists. But it's one of the interesting things about the playlisting space that we were talking about earlier. We have this format that is ripe for the democratization of this art form, and because of the way it's set up, it's not necessarily benefiting the people who could use that benefit the most. So you mentioned earlier that you thought that there was kind of a missing element from Spotify, and I think that's one of the interesting things about playlisting when it's done right, is that when you have a human hand, not just an algorithm that's trying to feed you, when you don't have an algorithm that's just trying to get you to continue to scroll or continue to listen or whatever, when you have an actual human being that's sitting back and going, hey, this is cool, the same way that forums and download sites and people at shows would do.
The thing about Spotify playlisting is, like, let's just say, like, I have a punk band and I pitch you this song and you have 50 followers on your playlist, but you're like a really good fit. You're like, I'll put this song on it. Why not? Like, what do I got to lose with it? And I mean, people think like, oh, a playlist with 50 followers, that's not a lot. Like, if you're a band, you're not going to get that much traction with it. But eventually, like, you will start building those numbers of streams that you want. And this has actually happened. I have gotten, and I'm not trying to flex here, I have gotten bands on Spotify playlists, like curated playlists, just because of building that sort of ground base, like grassroots campaign.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I have helped helped bands get up to like 1 million streams on like their single. It took work, takes time. Like it's not going to be the first single that they ever drop, but like you eventually you have to build it. You gotta. It's like making a cake. Like, sure, you start off with flour and sugar and like a couple other things. That's like a very simple base, but then you have to build it up. Like, what makes a really good cake? You got to keep building it, working at it.
So I think it's and I think similar to what you're saying. I think the part that helps you build it is that human element, and it's one of those things that I think is just going to be trial and error until you get it right. But it is something that I was thinking about as I've been listening back through that podcast. It's funny that you and I are having a similar conversation to what they were having years ago. And it keeps getting refined. And I think on the whole, it's gotten better, but it is still a worry that I have as somebody who strives to be, in this business and to make that a full-time career is there's a reliance on just give me the easy thing. That kind of ends up being a race to the bottom as far as independent artists. And I would argue just quality art is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of, I don't want to say bad art, but like, I mean, there was literally an article back in 2014 about a dude who made $23,000 by releasing 14,000 songs on iTunes and Spotify. Like stupid songs about like pooping and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I remember there being a fair amount of like capital D discourse on the internet about that, but all it reminded me of was purevolume.com. Like some of those terrible like MySpace scene bands that would have their tech friends build them like a little rig that would just play their songs over and over again so that they'd get to the top of the Pure Volume charts. And there were people that got legitimate record deals and promotion off of fake numbers.
Yeah, I mean, you see that all the time. And it's very easy to do the pay for streams thing. I mean, one of the things I've learned from PR is we're not going to do all the work for you. A band also has to do some of the work as well. It's an equal partnership here. If you have a really good song and I'm pitching it to 100 different playlists and I've gotten you on like 10 different playlists, which that's an actual really good turnaround if we're thinking about it. Like that's a 10% acceptance rate, but you're not posting about it on your Facebook or your Instagram or your Twitter or your TikTok. You also have to drive your fans to check out that playlist and listen to it and support you as well. And like that's the one thing that we always strive to do and say to every person that we work with, like, hey, you have to please post about this, drive your fans to this playlist and tell them to check it out.
Yeah.
Very simple thing. I mean, it's the thing with artists now is it's not so much, you also have to be a master of social media. You need to know, if I was managing a band, I would suggest they take even the basic social media crash course from like Hootsuite or whatever. Like you can get a pretty basic social media education for like $250. Know what you're doing, know your way around, like how will this post be better than the last post? How can I drive people to what I'm doing?
How can I keep them engaged?
Right. That's the whole point. I mean, we are so distracted. There are so many distractions, so many things to keep a track of. Why should I care about you when there's like 10 other bands doing the same thing?
And let's be honest, how, most of us can't make it through a TV show without opening up Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I try to avoid Facebook as best as possible because speaking of butt fumbles of organizations,
yes,
it's a crowded space. So yeah, not to continue beating a dead horse, but the one last thing that I wanted to ask you about, on this kind of bent, I saw earlier today. Hold on, let me continue to look through real quick so I can find the article. All right, here it is. Earlier today on Chorus.fm, they posted a link to a Variety article. The Variety article starts with the headline, Spotify adds virtual merch tables for music artists in a pact with Shopify. So Shopify is basically a merch company. A lot of different artists use it to sell t-shirts, vinyl, just all of their merch. And the reason why I wanted to ask about this is I think unless I'm having like a Mandela effect moment.
Right.
Didn't Spotify already do this? I feel like back in college, I was opening up people's Spotify things and like their Spotify profiles, and I was able to see like vinyl records for sale.
Yeah, I mean, there's a pretty well-known company called Merch Bar. They do something like that.
Is Merch Bar directly in the Spotify app?
Now, I don't know, but I know that, I mean, let's be fair, like everything is targeted.
Yeah.
Every ad is targeted towards you. The internet knows if you look up a pair of like trim hedgers, like you want to trim your hedges for whatever fucking reason,
Yeah.
you'll still get ads for it several days later.
Yep. There's maybe one day we can go into depth about the rather depressing topic of how those algorithms learn that. And it's not necessarily you're being listened to, but there's a lot of ways that the computers can learn how to target you for that kind of stuff. But I'm not crazy though, right? They're like you could buy merch from somebody's Spotify profile.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that before. Right now I'm on Spotify, so I'm trying to see if I can. Yeah, I'm literally right now I'm on Defeater's Spotify profile, and I've scrolled all the way down, and I'm clicking on a link right now. It is, for Merch Bar, just like what I said earlier. Yep.
Now you're doing this on your laptop?
I am doing this on my laptop.
So I asked a couple of people about it. I'm only really familiar with Spotify on a desktop or a laptop, not on my phone. So what I'm seeing on this article is screenshots of the mobile app. So I don't know if this is worthy of a story because it's in the mobile app now, or
I mean, it is available in the mobile app.
It's in the mobile app as well. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm confused as to why it's worth an article unless, bigger. Well, I feel like even the bigger artists were doing it beforehand. So I guess the answer is I don't know why it's worth a story. Like apparently Variety has been living under a rock. So Todd Spangler, who wrote this article, I'm sorry that you didn't know that this was a thing already, but I'm not familiar with Shopify. Maybe they're bigger than I think they are, but
I mean, they're huge. I mean, their stock right now is worth more than Apple, for example.
Oh, all right.
From what I'm pretty sure. Hold up. Let me check that.
Let's double check.
Let me get on to my stock watching app. Yeah, I mean,
wow. All right.
It's worth like 14 grand.
I mean, well, congrats to Shopify and Spotify. When I first saw the headline for the article, I read it as Spotify adds virtual merch tables for music artists in pact with Spotify. So I was even more confused about Spotify making a pact with Spotify, but whatever.
I mean, that sounds like an Onion article.
Yeah, exactly.
Except it would be like Facebook making alliance with Facebook.
Yeah, so that is what it is. But yeah, it's an interesting time now that we're, definitively in the streaming age and stuff. I don't know. This stuff interests me. I do have a vested interest in it. Clearly you do too. So do you have anything else to add about, streaming services and that kind of thing?
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing what the space has gone from since I first started. I mean, there are now multiple ways of getting your song out there and pitching it to different playlisters and like blogs. I can even share you a couple. There are, I mean, these ones are for money. You get credits that you have to pay into. You're not paying for streams. You're just paying to pitch them to these blogs. But there's Submit Hub. That's a great one. There's Groover, Groover. There's also there's a couple free options. There's Daily Playlist. There's also Soundplate. Now the only problems with those is you only get like a daily limit with those ones because they don't want you spamming. But it's amazing to see what the space has come, and there's lots of nuances to it as well. It's not just as simple as sending your shit out and expecting it to be on. You have to also do part of the work as well.
I like it. Yeah, so I think we've covered really all we need to cover tonight. if you guys are still here and still listening to us nerd out about this kind of stuff, if you enjoy it, let us know. It's at Packy Run Pod on Instagram and Twitter. I think both of us really enjoyed this kind of stuff. It's clearly tied into our lives in a pretty intimate way. So if this is something that you want to hear us talk about more, we can find some more topics, react to some more articles, and do the whole thing. And if not, we'll just stick in our lane with doing track by tracks and talking about the Patriots.
Yeah, true.
So, a little bit of an experimental episode, but hopefully you guys enjoy what we had to say about the whole thing. Anything else you want to cover, or should we head into a couple of recommendations and let these fine people...
Let's get into our recommendations.
Right. Do you have one ready?
Yes. Give me one second. So when I'm not listening to music, I have been trying to get more into audiobooks. Trying to expand my mind a little bit.
Here you go.
One book I have been listening to lately has been The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And it's a really good book to listen to. It's interesting, the dynamics of why do you give a fuck, why is it worth that fuck?
I can't relate. I've got the listeners at home can't see, but I'm holding up my basket of fucks right now and it is empty.
Yes. But also by Mark Manson. That's who it's by. But I'm a little bit into it so far. But one thing I've learned so far from what takeaway I've gotten from it is sometimes it's just better to not try.
I mean,
sometimes it's,
That is one of the hard life lessons is, picking your battles.
Yeah. And I think it's helped me change my perspective a little bit, because I think at one point over the past couple months, I gave too many fucks.
This is where the yoga came from. It's this book.
No.
Callback comedy is one of my favorites. I had to go for that one.
Fair enough. Touche.
Yeah, I remember seeing that book on shelves. I definitely, if it has your recommendation, I definitely have to check it out now. What I got is another TV show. I've been watching it with someone I love very dearly, who still remains nameless. We've been watching American Crime Story on FX. The newest season it all revolves around the impeachment of Bill Clinton, and it's basically all told from the perspective of Monica Lewinsky. And both of us are too young to truly remember everything that went on. But it's pretty well done. Some of the camera work and stuff, I think, is a little bit too intense. But the story itself is told really well, and it's cool. It's cool to see this kind of like dramatized version of everything, even though there was plenty of drama with the whole thing to begin with. I've been kind of like going through the Wikipedia article on all of it as I've been watching. So going through and reading, like seeing how much the Drudge Report, which is kind of a staple now, but definitely wasn't back then, how that played into everything. There was so much I didn't know. It's still arguably in the public consciousness, so I thought that I had some sort of idea of what had gone on, but this show had kind of gotten me back into, reading up about that stuff and looking into that kind of stuff, and it's funny watching and learning about all that kind of stuff. It's highly entertaining. It's also been kind of informative, weirdly, but of course, I'm the biggest West Wing fan that I know of outside of my cousin Mike, and it's funny how many things happened during that parallel some of the things that happened in the West Wing, which I never caught on any of the 400,000 times that I've watched through that series. So it gets 2 thumbs up from me. If you've got FX on Hulu, you can watch it. If you have cable, you can probably watch it. I've loved it. I'm about to finish up the last episode probably tomorrow or sometime this week. So,
FX is a quality network, I would say.
Definitely.
You got It's Always Sunny. You got The League. You have Atlanta.
You're missing the big one.
What's the big one?
Archer, baby.
Oh yeah, Archer. That's not the big one. I would when I think of FX, I think of It's Always Sunny.
Archer is the smartest dumbass comedy I've ever witnessed in my life. And they seem to be a little bit more back on track after this past season. So if you haven't tried Archer, you should probably give it a shot. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but man, I love that show. We got a big one here.
Yeah, this is a beefy one.
I'm not mad.
All right. I think we've exhausted ourselves. Check us out on social media, our Instagram and Twitter, Pack Your Run Pod. And I have nothing else to add. I'll talk to you guys later.
You will be hearing from us soon.
In 2 weeks.
We'll just keep the slope going down. Perfect.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.